Hello, this is John with Brainstorm Comics and Gaming, and we want to welcome you to the Storm Watch, where the Brainstorm Comics and Gaming gives you our top 9 picks of the new books of the week. As we all know, Wednesday is the happiest day of the week, and we want to ensure that that maintains for you. In order to do that, you want to make sure you don't miss out on that new hot book. This series goes over 3 DC books we think you should pay attention to, 3 independent books, and 3 Marvel books. Um, as always, you can also go to managecomics.com and sign up for a subscription there if you don't already. We do offer 20% off on new comics, 20% off on graphic novels, 20% off on back issues, 10% off on graded books, and 10% off on board games to our subscribers. We don't have a minimum that you need to set for your subscription, so you can have as little as 1 book and still get those great savings. We also want to remind you to please remember to LCS, like, comment, and subscribe to your LCS, local comic book shop, Brainstorm Comics and Gaming, YouTube channel as you watch this video or after you watch this video. As always, we greatly appreciate all of you who do so. We're hitting some great numbers right now. I think we have 165 subscribers right now. We're closing in on 8,000 views. And we want to thank you for taking the time and including us in your week, not just for picking up your comics, but for watching the videos. So with all that out of the way, let's jump into the top 3 DC books of the week. We're going to lead off the top 3 DC books with Joker number 3. This one has some great covers this week. I'm a big fan of the A cover. The B cover is really good. The C cover is equally as good. This might be one that people are interested in, all 3. For this one, James Tynion is writing the book. What really interests us about this one is that even though it's called Joker, Gordon is definitely the primary focus of this. I've read some spoilers for this one, talking about how Tynion revisits the Killing Joke and Gordon's psychological impact from that. So this is I think going to be a really good book, a really great issue that ties into some deep, dark history to the Batman characters. Like I said, if you have not been reading Joker, you are very much missing out. This is probably one of the best DC books that I have read in quite some time. With that being said, let's move on to number 2. And coming in at number 2 is Justice League Last Ride number 1. Chip Zdarsky is a huge fan favorite within the shop, so we couldn't pass up on a book that he was writing. This one is about the Justice League set in the future. They have disbanded due to some mistrust and distrust among the team. However, there is a murder trial that has galactic importance, and it brings the group back together. The question is whether they can put aside their differences. Batman and Superman have a lot of distrust towards one another in this one. It sounds like it could play in the same vein as kind of like Heroes in Crisis or even Identity Crisis. I'm hoping it doesn't go quite as dark as that, especially since we've just refound a very optimistic DCU that is a lot more fun to read. But as I said, Chip is a writer we all trust here and one that we like a lot. So this is one that I think you should definitely check out. And that brings us to our number 1 pick for the DC books this week, and that is Future State Gotham number 1. So this is written by one of my favorite writers, Joshua Williamson. I don't think he gets enough credit for what he does. As a warning, I will say that this may not appeal to everyone because it is in a black and white type or in a black and white format. It's kind of done in like a manga sort of thing, as I said. So it may not appeal to everyone. I think that the story is strong enough that even if that does not appeal to you, that the narrative will. In this one, Red Hood is recruited by the magistrate to hunt down the new Batman. He has to decide whether to side with his family or with the city at large. Red Hood has always had issues with the Bat family, even though he does like them. So this one will be very interesting. I will say my thing is that I wish that he were hunting down Bruce Wayne instead of the new Batman. But we'll see where it goes. I'm interested. I've always been a fan of Red Hood, so like I said, this one had to be at the top of the list. So let's get into this week's independents. And number 3 this week is Silver City number 1. I will be honest with you, there were 3 great independents. I had difficulty organizing them in the order that I thought was fitting. But this one came in number 3. It could have easily been number 1. This is by Aftershock. Silver City is a purgatory type mega city in the afterlife. The main character's mission is to figure out who killed her and why. However, she is distracted from that mission by a new resident to the town, a young girl who's also been killed. So she's trying to help her. And they also discover that this new girl has some powers that were unexpected within the environment. As I said, I think this one has a lot of potential. I'm interested to see where it goes. Like I said, it could have easily been number 1. Just there was a lot of good independents this week. And that brings us to number 2, The House of Lost Horizons number 1. This one takes place within the Hellboy universe. Mike Mignola is the writer. I'm not going to lie, I've never really delved into the Hellboy universe. The synopsis for this one has me interested in it. However, there is an auction for occult or artifacts going on. The 2 main characters are investigating it, and they get trapped on an island with all of these ne'er-do-wells. So they're stranded in a storm with all these people. Meanwhile, murders start happening, and they're trying to figure out who is doing them before they become victims themselves. Mike Mignola always does pretty well in like the darker storylines. Like I said, this one has a cool hook to me. I always liked the Hellboy movies. I just never really got into the series. But like I said, this sounds like a good jumping on point and a good storyline. And that brings us to number 1, Time Before Time number 1. This one is by Declan Shalvey. It sounds pretty interesting in the fact that the future is very terrible, very bleak, and people are looking for ways to escape it. There is a mafia who arranges to send people back in time to a better period for themselves. However, 2 of the people who work for them decide to steal the artifact or to steal the machine and travel back in time themselves. The solicits for this says that you cannot hide from your past. I'm looking forward to this one a lot. I'm normally not big into time travel stories. But like I said, this one sounds very interesting. I paged through the art. I like the look of it. So like I said, this one narrowly beat out the other 2. It was a toss-up, and like I said, this is the one I'm looking forward to most this week. Coming in at number 3 for Marvel is Heroes Reborn, Peter Parker, The Amazing Shutterbug number 1. I'm not going to lie, this one made my top 3 because I'm a huge Superman fan. Peter Parker is playing the role of Jimmy Olsen in this series. He looks up to Hyperion, who is, of course, the Superman character. They work at the Daily Bugle together. He idolizes Hyperion. So like I said, this one is mostly playing on my nostalgia and love of DC more than necessarily anything else. The solicit just really promised that he plays a Jimmy Olsen type character. But I'm interested to see where it goes because I love Superman so much. And that brings us to number 2, a familiar name already on this list. And that is Spider-Man, Spider Shadow, number 2, again, written by Chip Zdarsky. This is a what-if story if Peter Parker had not forsaken the Venom symbiote. So in this one, he's getting lured down a darker and darker path. The cover itself has that creepy kind of element to it. Mary Jane with a knife waiting for Peter Parker in the Venom's costume to come around the corner. Chip is killing it on many different series. I think he has like 4 books out this week. He is definitely a writer to watch. If you aren't reading any of his things, I highly recommend that you pick up at least one of his titles. There are a lot of good options for you, whether you're a Marvel fan, a DC fan. I will tell you the Spider Shadow is a good one to jump in also if you're even mildly interested in the Venom character. And that brings us to number 1 this week for the Marvel books, and that is X-Corp number 1. So in this one, the X-Men enter the corporate world. They kind of exert their influence there as well. They want to see how their mutant abilities can affect business transactions and as well as doing their normal combat. In this one, the two main characters are Monet St. Croix and Warren Worthington. The question that the series is supposed to answer is what keeps our heroes heroic with so many opportunities to sell their souls. So, like I said, this one will be a lot more interpersonal relationships, the things that X-Men does very well, the things that people love about X-Men. I know it may be somewhat of a turnoff for some people in that it seems to be less focused on hand-to-hand combat and more on business machinations, but I think that this may be a good change of pace for those who get tired of just the hitting each other upside the head and blasting each other with I-beams. This seems like it could be a good change of pace. So this is one to check out if you're an X-Men fan or if you just want a different take on the X-Men and see them in a different type of environment. And that brings us to our cover of the week. Now, this one it definitely appeals to 10-year-old John. I am a big G.I. Joe fan from when I was a little kid. More importantly, though, so this is our bonus coverage before I begin. This one is on here for the cover. Freddie Williams II is doing some amazing B covers for G.I. Joe. If you've not been paying attention to them, I highly recommend you look him up on Google, check him out, see what's going on. He's doing some very detailed some pieces for the covers that will appeal to longtime G.I. Joe fans. So in closing, we want to thank you for watching as always. We know that, of course, taking out your time to not only read comics that you buy here, but also to watch us. You setting that aside means a lot to us. And just a reminder again, if you haven't already done so, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know how we're doing, what you think we can do to improve. Thank you for watching.